in as well. So, Jihyun, welcome to Muswell Hill Synagogue, our synagogue here. And you can actually see part of the synagogue in the background if you were, of my picture. So what I wanted to ask you first, Jihyun, was really, I suppose, you said to me that you were 29 years old when you defected from North Korea. So, of course, we all think of North Korea often, I suppose, through the prism of totalitarian communism, as you've experienced. A lot of us remember, all of us remember the fall of the Berlin Wall and the fall of Soviet communism, but we know that communism as a totalitarian form of rule still continues, and North Korea is an incredibly extreme form of that. So I suppose the first question would be really interesting to hear, what was it like for you growing up in North Korea? Where were you from in North Korea, and what was life like there?
Thank you. Honored to be in here. I'm really thankful. I was born in North Hamgyong province. It is the north part and near the Chinese border and Russia border areas. So my hometown is in Cheongjin City in Hamgyong province. So I have really vivid memories when I was a child, because in North Korea is closed outside the countries and they never shared about the informations from outside the countries to inside North Korea. So we only learned about that is North Korea history and North Korea dictators about Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. So when I was a child, I was played with my friend and always played war games. So one team is North Korean soldiers and another team is American soldiers. So we always fight, but American soldiers always failed. So we then hooray. So that is our child memories. And in school is the same, because we learned that is enemy country in America and South Korea. And we always proud that is our dictator Kim Il-sung, because Kim Il-sung was born in 1912, and then he fight Japanese era, and then revolution in all Korea. And after start again in 1950s in Korean War, and he fight again in America, and then North Korea is already win. So we learned that is a history in North Korea. So in North Korea, we call it Kim Il-sung is our father, and the Korea Work Party is our mother. So my biological father and mother is live to us, but we never say to them, thank you, love. We never said that. We always said thank you, Kim Il-sung and the work parties. So in our home, it's all countries people same in our home on the wall. Only Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il's pictures without the family pictures. So every morning we wake up and we first thank you to Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Then we cleaning the home outside and then go to school. It's the same. School on the wall is the same as Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il's pictures. So we cleaned the pictures and every day we learned that their stories. So in North Korea, we don't know that is what is personal emotions, because we only knew that is political emotions, happiness and hatred. But this emotion is always government controlled to us. So we are not human. We are look like machines. So that is my life in North Korea, and that is continued in North Korea. 25 million people, they continue the same this life. So government always controlled to them, and security policies in around them. So this country is a surveillance state. So every person looked each others, and what do? They always is looked after them, and after they contacted to security police or police stations. So if they do something wrong, and all family members, that is not only family members, they three generations sent to prison camp, whole life, or executions. So I was executions when I was in high school. So that execution is public executions. But this person did not is criminal things. This person is really hunger, so he killed the cow in his farmer places. But that is really political problems, and that's why his executions. So whole school members and whole people, we went to these places, and the whole people saw these executions. We really scared and nightmare. That is still the nightmare. Is these executions. That is really horrible. How can I explain my the daily life? That is really difficult to us, and outside the people can't imagine these countries, because every morning, summer is 4:30 a.m. and the winter is 5 a.m. Is the local apartment is captain is shouted to us. That is whole countries wake up same times. And then we start cleaning, road cleanings, apartment cleanings, and inside cleanings. Then have breakfast, and the workers to go companies, and children go to school, and the housewife also work in outside. They never relax in a home. So that is a normal life in North Korea, and the sleep is the same time, 10 p.m. And so we wake up and the sleep is the same time. Whole country is still now.
So just to, I mean, wow. So just to clarify that, you're saying that the country, the whole country is expected to go to sleep at the same time.
Yes, yes.
That's
That is, we call it that is North Korea as country, but that is look like prisons, because they always control the people. So wake up same time and sleep is the same time. You know.
So
That is
people's daily rhythm is being dictated by the political part of the party, by the actual,
yes.
Wow. So I think that's really helpful and probably goes beyond even what we imagined. Did you go to university when you were in, I mean, did you study after school when you were in North Korea, Jihyun?
Yes, I was graduated university and then became a high school teacher. So in North Korea, we have got a similar subject in outside the countries. We also learn the science, math, and the chemical, everything that. But in North Korea, is most important subject is dictator's history. If you failed this history, you cannot go universities, or you not get great jobs in a country, because that history is really important in North Korea.
Wow. So Jihyun, tell me, I mean, obviously all here, at what point in your younger life did you, as in living in North Korea, did you start having worries about the regime and feeling against? When did you waken up, so to speak, to feeling that something's not right here? Because I suppose you were brought up in the war games, and with the father and the mother, that was part of, the religion of North Korea, in a sense, the political religion. When did you start thinking there's something wrong?
It was 1996. But before that is, I really proud my country, because that I learned only Kim Il Sung's history and learned about the socialist country, because we only one newspaper and only one TV channels. So they described everything that is Kim Il Sung's, and sometimes it's foreigner people, they visit North Korea, and they also really proud of Kim Il Sung and something that. So North Korea said that is North Korea is really in our world, and this country is nothing to envy, because South Korea is now American colony, and also many bigger people and the homeless people in South Korea, and also in America and other countries too. But in North Korean people, they have home and they have eat 3 meals. So you are really a good person. So we believe that because we never seen outside the countries, and we never heard that is another country history, or we never watch that is another country people life. So I believe that so North Korea is also a distribution country. It's still the government give to us rice every day. So we got the rice is twice a month, and they give to us the is food the ticket. So father bring that is a food ticket. So every month, twice a month, and the mother go to this the food officer, and they bring the rice. So that is rice is a different amount, and that rice was never enough to us eat, and we don't know that is what means full amount, because we always hunger. But we proud that is because part of South Korea, they many people they still the hunger. We believed that. But in started in early 1990s, government stopped the rice, and they never give to us people started the starving and the manifestations. So that time is we saw many dead bodies in street, and we every day heard that is which families died or which students died. So that is really horrible times. So in 1996, my uncle died of starving in front of me. So when I saw my uncle's body, and he's not human, he's look like animals. He's only skins and bones, you know. So that times I had lot of questions in my memories, because we always respected to Kim family, and we really hard work to them. But why we received kind of these starvings? But I couldn't speak out because that is political problems. I really scared about the country systems. So that is the first think about my double thinkers. Why outside countries what happened? So, but I couldn't share my these thinkers to my father or my mother.
So Jihyun, just to clarify, was your uncle's killing and political of motivation?
No, he's the to say died of starvations because of hunger.
He starved. So I didn't understand. Right. Okay. So he starved because of the system and because of the lack. So you saw how the lack of food that was being given and distributed actually affected your family, your uncle. Wow.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
I see.
that time is only not only my uncle. That time is many people, our neighbors and my students, my friends. You know, everyone is died.
Wow. So that must have led you to feel right. So, and then that obviously was a time for you to start thinking about where you would go and how you would plan leaving North Korea. And I know you were saying that it was 1998 when you first, and this was twice that you left actually. So we'll come back to the second. But what was your plan then? You know, you start to wake up to the problems with starvation and not having a voice and feeling that. What were your plans then to leave? How would you plan that?
In 1996, when my uncle died in front of me, but this time I didn't think about that. Is that I left this country because I was a brainwashed child, and we knew that is the left North Korea is what means. That is political meanings, not only me. That is family members. But in 1996, my younger brother had problems because that time is he served in his militaries, but military also same kind of problems. So when he came to the home, and then my father last wish was to save my younger brother. But that time was my father really illness, and the government didn't give to him any medicines, and the hospital is the same. They never care about the people. So my father dying, and my father sometimes stable, and when he woke up, and only hand me. So in 1998, it was February. That time is my younger brother nearly 10 years away. So I had to leave countries. So me and my younger brother left North Korea, and my illness father alone in cold dining room. So I abandoned my illness father. So I still don't know when my father passed away and where is buried. But I promised my father I wanted to save my younger brother. So that's why we left North Korea in midnight. And you know that in North Korea and in China, we only border is Tumon, is river areas. So north side is Tumon River, and the south side is Riallo River. So that time was the river already frozen, and then me and my younger brother crossed this border midnight. So when we halfway crossed the border halfway, then we heard that is North Korean soldiers shouted to us and they gunfired to us. But we continued, oh, run, run. So when we arrived in China, but that time is not only me, it's many North Korean people escaped North Korea because they wanted to survive. So that's why they crossed the border. So that time is in China also many smugglers in both areas. They usually find out that it's North Korean females and they catch up and sold to us Chinese men. So same as me when I crossed the border and I just met these smugglers and he sold to me Chinese man to me and then I separated my younger brother. So my younger brother repatriated to North Korea, and I still don't know he's survived or not. I don't get any information. So when I sold to Chinese man, and the Chinese families never allowed to us, their family members. They looked to us only slavery and also sex players, and only think about the workers. So I really hard work early, wake up early morning and until the dark days, I worked in outside. But family members never allowed to me is dinner same day tables. They not because I was not human. So one day I thought about that is I wanted to give up my life because I already lost my father and my brother. And now is my life was slavery. But one day I found out that is I was pregnant. So first I thought about that is maybe this child born in China and his life was also same as me, slavery in China. But I think about that is a hope. This child is my family member and he gave me hopes and dreams. Then I saved this child. I changed my mind. But the China government not accept this child because I was North Koreans. So one day, China villages, China system is a similar North Korea system. So one day, village is a female captains came to me, and she told me that you just abandoned this child because the Chinese government not accept, but I denied it. So I kept this child and I worked really hard until my delivery days. But I never been to the hospital. My alone pained in 12 hours in a home, but no one helped me my last days, delivery days. So after I delivered my child and I gave to him name is iron, because of strong life in China. Then I really hard times in live in China because this Chinese man is never worked outside and he's gambling addict. So when my son was born and 3 months after, one day this man came to me and he said that he wanted to sell my son because he lost lots of gambling monies. So first time I stood up and fight these evils. No, I just is holding a knife, and I stood up this man, and I told to him, if you touched my son, I killed you. That is my first fight with evils. That's 5 years after, I also sent back to North Korea, and my 5 years old child in alone in China, and we separated.
So yeah, wow. Because we talked earlier today, didn't we, Jihyun? And just to hear even more of the detail, it's really, really quite moving, actually. So you had a child in China. You obviously then have a choice to make as to whether to go back or not with your child, and your child stayed in China, and you leave now, going back after what, 5 or 6 years. In 2004, we're talking now, go back to North Korea.
Yes, yeah.
So I suppose now the question would be, what was it like going back? Clearly, there was a danger because you'd obviously defected in the first place. How were you treated now, and did you need to think about leaving again very soon after?
It was 2004 and April. It's the 24 April at 10 p.m. and someone knocked my doors. So I really scared because I had no friend and I had no relatives in China. So no one is knocked the door this night times. That is only police. So when I opened the door, and 10 Chinese authorities came to me, and they arrested me in front of my child. It's a 5 years old child. So then they separated with others. So I begged to Chinese police because I wanted to speak once my son, because he's only 5. So I wanted to told to him, wait, mommy, I wanted to come back. But Chinese police never allowed to us. So I sent back to North Korea. But before sent back to North Korea, this police asked to me that if you with your child to North Korea or without. So I say that is without, because I knew that is North Korea systems. North Korea never allowed this child because this child is not original North Korean child. He's foreigners because father is Chinese. So North Korea never accepted this foreigner child. So if I with him, and North Korea, I had no family members, and no one care about him. And I know that is North Korea still lack food, so no one give to him warm food. And also North Korean government maybe killed this child because he's foreigner child. So that's why I without to bring him to North Korea. So when I went to North Korea, first time I thought that it was my country because I was born. And when I was in North Korea, I learned that North Korean government never they made the movies about that in 1950s. You know, many North Korean people, they went to South Korea. And in 1980s, North Korea made the movie, someone came to the home, and they always welcome. So we thought that because we were not political problems, everyone except North Korea, the reasons that's hunger. They need to find out some warmer food in China. So everyone's we thought that is maybe North Korea welcomed to us, but that is never. North Korea never welcomed to us. North Korea uh, think about to us enemies, and they never accept to us human. They only think about to us is animals. So when we sent back to North Korea, first we stayed in security prisons. So this prison is the mixed female and the male is together in places, and inside no windows, just only one doors. So inside really dark, and they have got no heaters and no electricity. and only one toilet. That is a female and the male's share, and that toilet is only covered 50 centimeters. So when you stand up or something, that everyone is watching to you when you use the toilet. And also president give to us only 1 bar water in the morning. So we only face wash it. So it's many females, they had monthly periods, but inside North camp, they have got no pad. So people used that is towels, but we couldn't wash up. So that is blood is came out our trousers, and they never wash up, and the smelling is really disgusting. And also, if someone is a pregnant woman, they also sent back to North Korea. But North Korean government never accepted this child. So they killed this unborn baby in front mother. And also some women is really hard work in outside. Then they do this abortion child. So I worked in prison in farmer places with 40 females. So when we walked today, we never wearing our shoes. We walked barefoot and always walk by our hands. And also we wearing cow cartoons and put a lot of stuffs. Then we always run. But North Korea movement is unmovement. Then they lots of female is animals, the animals and the glasses and the stones everywhere. You know, when you step the glass and you bleeding, but you continue to walk. If you didn't walk, and they tortured any times. And usually female use the toilet same. We implant card, and we can use the toilet. And if we slowly, they kicked any times. And then in our room also same. That is one small room. So we never wash up. So head lices and the body lices everywhere. And the people usually is the health problems, but they never bring to us any medications. So that is unspeakable, and we are not human. We are animals. So one day I found out that my leg was problems and swollen. Then yellow waters came out, and my temperature is 39 or 40 degrees, and sometimes I was stable. Then my hair is changed and the skin color is changed. So I almost dead inside the camp. So after President Guide told me that you never died inside the camp, you died outside anyway. So then they released me.
Sorry, Jihyun. So, of course, you've now been released. So just to clarify, so in a sense, the idea was you were unwell, seriously unwell, dying in effect because of the conditions inside the prison camp. It makes us as Jewish people, when we hear some of your stories, it makes us think in ourselves back to the Holocaust in the Second World War, where obviously there was a genocide, of course, it was millions of people were killed, but the conditions were meant to be severe, and there was illness and lice everywhere. So I hear that in you, and I'm thinking of books that I've read, and many of us here have read about, and stories that we've heard. So you were released from the camp as someone ill. Where do you go from there? Of course, your next decision is, I've got to get out of here. I can't stay here anymore. I can't stay in this country. I've got a son to find. So how did you get back up to China?
So when I released this camp, and they sent it to me, it's a local political office, police stations. So then local police sent it to me government places, and they checked my conditions. So if I was a recovery, and they bring me again in prison. So I stayed at these places 2 months, but that time is not only me released. It's the same my age is a lady. she also managed situations because she worked at different places. So we released two females and we stayed at the same places. But she always shouted, you know, give me more food, give me food, give me food. But I knew that is my uncle was the same when he was before the died. He always shouted, give me more food. So a week after she died in a street, and I stayed continued in these places. So 2 months after, I knew that is my condition is a little bit recovered. So that time is I decided I had to leave this country because if I stayed in there and I sent back to prison and then maybe I died, could be died. So that time is I only think about that is my son because every night, you know, I figure to is the God, Maria, Buddha everywhere. I just is shouted myself, please save me and united my son. I want to once see my son. That is my hope and dreams that times. So I had to escape to this country. So second time is that I found out the broker and then myself human trafficking to China because I had no money and my condition is very bad. So no one accept to me escape to this country. So myself human trafficking to China. So that is the second time I escaped North Korea in 2004. Later in 2004.
And how did you find your son there, Jihyun?
When we crossed the border, me and the North Korean broker and also another lady is the same human trafficking in China, and one is old man. He visited his family in China. So four people crossed the border in Chinese border, and then we arrived in China. But in China, also everywhere they have spies, because if Chinese people find out the North Koreans and they contacted the police stations and the government paid the money to them. So many Chinese people they find out the North Koreans. So when we cross the border and then we cannot work in the road areas. So we all people work in mountain areas and then next to the destination is a Chinese broker house. So before the Chinese broker house, we have to catch it on the taxi. So when we on the taxi and all people, can't speak Chinese, but the taxi drivers usually ask to us a lot of questions because the taxi driver also spies in China. So that time is I only spoke Chinese, and then I communication with the driver. I told to him, broker is North Korean broker. He's my husband, and the old man is my father, and the young lady is my sister. So my husband and the father always live in Korean side, so they can't speak Chinese. But that's true. Many that is Chinese Korean people, they can't speak Chinese properly because they live in only Korean side. And then I told the drivers is younger lady is my sister. She's mute, but she or that time she couldn't speak because she also really scared that moment, so she couldn't speak. So after taxi driver asked me, how did you speak the Chinese, because all people can't speak. So I say that is I graduated the high school, so that's why I little speak Chinese. Then he said that this is night times. My whole family is moved to some places. So I showed to him my leg because that time is my leg continued still the problems. So and my leg was really dark purple. So I told to him when I walked in mountain and the snail feed my legs. So now we went to the hospital. So he believed, and then he couldn't ask to us any questions. So then we arrived at China broker house. But first time we arrived at China broker house, is North Korean broker really yelled to me because he already knew that is the taxi drivers spies in China. But I did a lot of communications with taxi drivers. So he really angry, but I explained everything that. So then he laughed. So I quickly told to him, I have a son in here. So I wanted to contact my son, but he denied it. He said that is you already promised to me human trafficking in here. So next morning I woke up, then younger lady already gone because they already sold to him, and the old man is already went out because he find out his relatives. Then North Korean broker told me that you once contacted your son. So I quickly dialed the phone call to my son, but first he never asked his answers. He just is off phone, and then off phone, and then I told to him, son, it's mom. And then my son said that, mom, and he cried. He cried. I cried. And the room was really quiet. And everyone heard that is my son's crying. Then my son opened. So I cried again. And after North Korean broker told me that he has two children in North Korea. And now his work is really dangerous work, you know. If the security prisoners find out that is his worker, he also sent to prison camp or maybe executions for family members. But yesterday I saved to him on the taxi. So he said that is today I saved you. You had to go find your son. So he didn't sell me. So then I found my son, and I met my son in 2005. But when I met my son, I really shocked because family members never care about to him. He looked like that is a street child because he never washed up. And he didn't give nice food when during times. I really pained because why I separated my son, because in China they have this is a family is a grandmother in there. So I thought that is maybe she cared about my son, but she never cared because I was not family member. So they also not accept my child, also their family members. So then I have to left this country, China, because this is a really dangerous country. And maybe one day I sent back to North Korea again. I have to die in prison, and my son alone in this world. So I have care about this child and response with this child.
Wow, Jihyun. So I suppose then the next, we've been talking about you going back and forth between North Korea and China through the border, but obviously the next step was to Britain, to the United Kingdom, which is a much bigger step, not only across the world physically, but culturally. It's a very different, it was from east to west and from communist to, whatever, Western democratic. So how did that happen? How did you get to the UK?
So in 2005, me and my son, first we wanted to go South Korea because at that time we didn't know that outside any countries, which countries accepted to us. So our plan was to go South Korea. So I went to Beijing and went to South Korea embassy, but our journey was failed because in front of the embassy, they have got a Chinese police in there and they check the identifications or passport. But we had no ID card or passport. And if we arrested in front of the South Korean embassy, that is really, really political meanings. We just did executions when we sent back to North Korea. So we met 9 North Korean people in front of the South Korean embassy. So these North Korean people we all same things wanted to go South Korea. So we failed Beijing. So we 9 people said that is Mongolia. They have got one of the South Korean embassy in Mongolia. So we planned the journey to Mongolia. So 9 people, we traveled to Mongolia, but so Chinese border. So we crossed the Chinese border and went to Mongolia. But you know, the Chinese border is really hard fences, it's 2 meter high fences in there. And always police cars round up and down. They find out that is who is crossed this border. So when we arrived in Chinese border and we cut off this fence, that is really strong, and that sound is, you know, this fencer sound is still my ears, really scared. And then we had to run because it's border area is really dangerous. So, but I couldn't run because my son is young, and my son didn't understand why we crossed this border, and my leg was still the problems. So I couldn't run. So all people is gone, and me and my son, only 2 people in Chinese border areas. Then I have to find out that is some rights came to us. That is a Chinese police car. Last time is my head. That is only white. I couldn't think about any words, but I just strongly to holding my son's hand and walk. Then I found that is someone is came to us, just came to us. So I really shocked. I thought that it was a Chinese police, but some person came to us and he backed my son and holding my hand, and then we ran and we crossed the second Chinese border, and then ran and we arrived in Mongolia border. But Mongolia is only 50 centimeters fences, so we just jumped there. And when I arrived Mongolia, and then I saw that is man, because this man is North Korean, same as me, North Korean, and we met in Beijing. So he saved to us because he knew that he already repatriated North Korea once. So he knew that if arrested this area and what happened, but he never cared about himself. He only think about me and my son. So he rescued to us, and you know, I felt start love to him in there. So we stayed at this Mongolia border area 3 days, but we couldn't find any people in this area. So we already water is gone and no food and really cold. You know, I first time knew that is Mongolia was desert. You know, before I didn't know that is Mongolia was desert. So we 3 days after, my son is dying because thirsty and starving. So then we decide that we cannot die this desert because nobody find out to us our bodies. So then we crossed the border again, and we arrived in China again. And then we stayed in Beijing 2 years. And after I found out that is the Korean American pastor, and he helped to us, and he sent to us the United Nations. But first I went to the United Nations. I never heard that these names, United Nations, these names. So I didn't know that is what they do. So I thought that they may be similar brokers. So they told me that is which country do you want to choose, South Korea, America, or Western countries. But we knew that is America and South Korea, that journey is really dangerous, and we have no guarantees that this journey is a success or not. So that's why I chose England, because maybe that is a little bit risk than America and the South Korea journey. So that's why I chose England, and we arrived in the UK 2008.
Wow, what a! I mean, Incredible. If you've got any questions, I know that the Nathans, Robert and Pam have written how amazing and brave you are, Jihyun, and thank you for telling your story. If there's any other question, please do put it in the chat if you want, or that we can unmute you in a minute. So you're in Britain, you're in England, somewhere very. I mean, yes, you've been taught about America and South Korea as a child as the enemy areas, but here you are in a Western country. This is 2008. Obviously, now we're at 13 years on, and you're about to stand in a democratic election in the UK, in Manchester. What bridged between that two? How was your reception here? How was it as someone from Korea and North Korea in this country? Did you have any difficulty? Was it any hate or racism, I suppose, from people in this country? And how did you get to the point, of course, of now standing for election?
Yeah, it's the first time I arrived in 2008. It was a really hard time to us because language. When I came to the UK, I didn't know any English. I only knew hello, good morning, something that. But yes, so people asked to us questions, but I didn't speak any answers to them. And we had lots of problems, gas problems, heating problems, electric problems. But I couldn't speak, so I always went to the counselors. But really nice people in there, they always kindly helped to me. And they not only solved this problem, they also spoke to us about the UK life and the English story too. Everything is teaching to me. So it was really kindly for me that. So then I've learned English and 2012, 2011. I think that is 2011. And many UK people told me that, welcome to United Kingdom. So, that when I heard that is welcome, I really cried. Because my country, North Korea, they never welcome to us. They looked to us enemies and torture, and we always separated family members. No one cared about the two North Koreans. But UK people, they are not the same my nations. They are different colors, different languages. But they welcomed me and hugged me. I really thankful to them because welcome, these meanings give to us lots of different meaning. This brings happiness, dreams, challenges, and opportunities. They give to me everything. So then I really hard work in here, but I never thought that is I became human rights activities because I never heard that human rights. What means human rights? I never heard that. But in 2012, that time my oldest son was 12, and then he said that, "Mommy, I have one question," and then I hide my memories. So I thought that is a 12 years old child, so maybe he needs new phones or new computers. So I say that is yes, of course, you can ask me. And then he asked me that, "Mommy, why did you abandon me and leave me?" Because 5 years, the 5 years old child, his memories when police came to us and arrested my mother. And then, that I didn't say my son that time so goodbye or wait me because police not allowed me and my son. So that is 5 years old child memories. And then he said that I counted 100 days, but you didn't come back. And many neighbors told me that your mom is abandoned you. Your mommy never come back. So when I heard these questions, I just cried. How did I explain to him? And then first time I've seen another person's painful stories. it's my son. Before I thought that is I only painful person and victims. I thought, but my son also same victims. But I never see that is these painful people around for me. So then I decided to that I have to speak out that is my story to world, because that is not only my stories. That is all 25 million North Korean stories. So I am witness and survivor. If I do silent, and all these victims' stories gone. So that's why I stand up and speak out my stories, and I became human rights activities. So I speak the many areas, and then last year in 2020, that is really dark years in everyone. Every day I sat down and I heard that someone is died of this COVID, and the family is separated and they can't see each other. That's for me can look like my memories in 1990s. That time also many North Koreans separated their family members, and we all see this is dead bodies in street. So I donations PPE to care homes, and then one day they is a UK people feedback to me. Is refugees came to our country, and then they helped to is our people. So they said thank you to us. So that time I changed my mind, because the first thing I have to say thank you UK people, and now I served these people, because when I arrived in UK they welcomed me. So I have to welcome to another people in these places. And the second, my journey is from North Korea and arrived in this UK. That is 10 years long journeys. But I finally find these freedoms and the family in here. But many people, they still can't find the kind of the freedoms is the North Korean people. So that's why I just stand up, because in the UK also same is many voiceless people behind to us. So I want to help to them. I want to listen to their voices and help to them. So that's why I stand up in council in Berry.
And good luck with that too, Michael. We would all want to vote for you if we were up there in Manchester. One interesting question I had that you answered really well, actually. Because of the answer, I think I want to ask the question, and it's a relatively political one, because of course, Jihyun, you're standing as a Conservative Party candidate. It would be interesting sort of thing to think, well, if people were thinking about what Jihyun had gone through, which party would you be drawn to? And you explained really well. Go maybe explain what was it that draws you, I think quite rightly in your case, to the Conservative Party to stand for council.
Yeah, because it is when I arrived in the UK, first time I didn't understand that is parties mean, because North Korea is only one party inside North Korea, and that is a dictator's party, and no one joined this party freely in North Korea. But in here, many different parties, and the first time that I saw that is a parliament TV, and MPs always shouted in a room. So I couldn't understand why they shouted, because I didn't understand the first time. But after I learned that English, and I learned that it's cultures and what means parties. So me and all North Koreans, our final destinations, family reunited, and the family have dinner same table once, and we happiness. But these values in conservative values. So that's why I follow the conservatives, and then now is I just stand up conservative in here.
I'll unmute myself. Before I ask if anyone's got a question or read any questions that have come, how is your son? Now, are you married now in England? You said you had other children, if I remember. And of course, how is your son that was born in China? What's he doing now?
He's now university student. So when he came to the UK, he was 9, and he first get his real names and ID card in here, and he first injections in here, United Kingdom, because China never accepted this child. So he was a statelessness child in China. So this kind of 20,000 stateless child in China, but this world is still don't know. So my son is now university student, and he lives in London. No, he London universities now. So he really hard works, and last year he award higher education award in a universities. So I'm really proud of my son.
That's super, really, really super. So, I mean, there's someone here, Julie Harris is here saying, thank you so much for sharing your moving story. It is so important for us to hear it. We wish you and your son much happiness. And I think, Marilyn, yours is a very humbling and inspiring story. We are so lucky to live here. And that's a good point in a way. You make, we often have criticisms of the way things are done. And, there's that natural British tendency to not like how things are done. And yet we should be appreciating the democracy that we are in. And I think that's quite right, Marilyn, as well. Was there a question from, what did the Chinese people you lived with? So you were living in China. Is that, I can't remember if that's the first or second time. Probably the first time, isn't it? What did they think of the situation in North Korea? So the Chinese people, did they think and did they talk about the situation in North Korea?
Yes, when we arrived in China, and many Chinese people told to us is Fat Kim Il Sung or Pig Kim Jong Il, So we really shocked, and then first time we shouted to them, "Don't call it to them," because that we were brainwashed child, so a brainwashed person. So we that time also we believed that is maybe Kim Jong Il improved these situations, and then North Korea became again is the nothing to envy country. But when so that's why some first times we argued to Chinese people, but we lived in China, and we heard we learned that it's much more about the North Korea, because North Korea history everything is fake, because the Kim Il Sung was God in North Korea. Kim Il Sung is son. Kim Il Sung is son. So we believed to them, but Kim Il Sung is not God. Kim Il Sung already died in 1994. No, he's not God. He's also human, same as us. But he always fake history to us and controlled about our people. So then we really hated. So that time is we literally opened my eyes, but our life was really slavery life in China too. So Chinese neighbor also use every time discrimination to us. Sometimes they bring some vegetables in street, and they hand it to us. Eat, because you are this is you country kind of no food, so you have to eat this vegetable. They always treat it to us, and sometimes they say that if you escape this village, we kill or we rape you, and no one know that is police not is came to us. Police just arrest you. So they always treated to us anyway.
Mm. Yeah, what actually made me what is shocking in a way also is the sort of pure like ethnic side of it as well. That you had a sense that the North Korean wouldn't want your son back because he was born of a Chinese parent, and similarly he wouldn't be accepted in China because of the North Korean side. So it's almost this desire for pure either Han or Korean. It's unbelievable. John, I think John Brodkin, John who's here, has asked, what prospect do you think there is of regime change in North Korea? That's a big question. But
at the moment we don't know that is when is regime is changed, because this country is they call it the Hamid Kingdom, and they 3 generations in North Korea, and North Korea is we have got divided three different levels in people, and inside this PT1 divided the PT1s. So this means 성분 system. This means one is elite 성분s. This elite 성분 is always the work with dictators and these family members. Usually these members lives in Pyongyang areas. And then middle classes. This classes is not elite, not hostiles. And the third one is the hostile classes. So we divided the three parts in North Korea. So our childhood is the same. We played the only elite people with elite people, and the father is a Workers' Party member, and only Workers' Party members played the same. And we never played hostile family members. So they have changed the different systems, and Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un is the same. They only think about that as a military first. They never care about the people, and they always control these people, civilians, security system is inside North Korea. So at the moment, we don't know how it's changed the regime, but we hopefully that now is many people, North Korean people, they changed it nowadays, because in 1990s, many family members died of starving, and the family members divided, separated each others. And after these people, they were learning in market systems, and the people changed the mind. Government never responsibility to us. My family care myself. So they now changed the little bit mind. So I hopefully maybe people stand up and fight the dictators, and that is quickly changed inside North Korea.
And I think connected to that, Jihyun, we've got a question here connected, but there's one interesting detail. I wonder what you think. What was your feelings about the initiative by Trump? So obviously, Donald Trump got closer to the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-il, and but what did you feel about that as someone who had obviously defected or left and was here?
You know, in 2017, when President Trump visited South Korea, and he spoke in South Korea parliament. So that time he described lots of North Korea human rights issues. So I really proud that that times him. And then he invited the North Korean defectors in White House, and he met these North Korean defectors. So in 2018, is first he met the Kim Jong-un in Singapore. So we believed that he had to mention the North Korea human rights issues, but he never. He always said that I love this rocket man and the Kim Jong-un. I love he's my friend. So I was really angry to that, because we knew that is North Korea is 20th century's Holocaust places. You know, everyone is knew that. But why he didn't mention? He still, you know, this year also same. You know, the Kim Jong Un is his friend, something that's so. I really angry to him with all people, because my country people dying every day. You know, the in prison camp. That's a prison camp is still in North Korea. You know, everyone we cannot see these people. So, but in world still think about that is North Korean people. They never care about these people. So now 25 million people invisible in this world. So I really hate his speeches, love to Kim Jong Un, something like that.
I think we're probably a lot of us sympathise with you there, and hope that he doesn't return to politics in the. But we'll see. We're worried. Now, one question from a couple who actually moved down from Bury to be part of the synagogue was a simple one, which is, which ward are you standing for, Jihyun?
South Bury in Holyrood ward.
South Bury in Holyrood.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. That will be know nothing to me, but to Janet and Michael Goodman, and probably there are others here, I'm sure. It will be mean something. So we're gonna look out for you. We are definitely gonna have to look out for you. Is this May the 3rd, isn't it? On the May the 3rd election day.
6th for May. Yeah.
May the 6th. Sorry, yes, yeah. May the 6th. So just one or two more questions here. Because of your speaking out against North Korea government, do you feel at risk from them while you're in the UK?
First time, yes, I was really scared because in the UK also North Korea embassy in here. But I escaped North Korea twice. This means I already fight these evils and I finally won. And then I find freedom in here, myself in here. So I never care about that. I never scared about to them. They scared about to us because we are witness, I witness and also survivor. So that's why they hate to us because we speak that about the inside North Korea. That is real. And then, it's North Korean government is hated to us, but I never scared about them. They scared about to us.
Wow. So Jihyun, I think we can leave it there, even though I think we would love to go on. You know that Jihyun, in 2 or 3 weeks, we have the Passover festival, which is the festival of the freedom of the Jewish people from Egypt. I mean, we're talking thousands of years ago, but it's sort of the means that at the center of our religion is this importance of freedom, of not being put into a situation where you will starve or be put into slavery. So it's incredible that we've got this. I've recorded it as well, if that's okay with you, and I can send you that because I'd like to maybe send it to the community so that people who couldn't make it, because it's great preparation for the festival to have heard. I'm really, really moved by your story. It's lovely to have met you, and we would love to keep in touch with you, actually. I think there's also a book that you wrote. If anyone knows French, if anyone's good at French, Deux Coréens is a book, Two Koreans, which is written by Jihyun and another author from South Korea. So the Two Koreans. So if you are French, Deux Coréens, you can find it on Amazon or on bookstores. What I'm going to do is now go to gallery view. So let me just make sure I've removed the spot.
We already translate that is English, and we are now find out the publisher. So
that'd be great. So what I'd like you to do is all unmute if you can, and just show your appreciation to Jihyun. Clap or however you want.
Thank you so much. And and I know that is the freedom come to us enormous risks, and we don't know that journey is a success or not. No, we lost. Jewish people also lost many family members. They find that is many people the freedom journeys, and the North Korean people is the same. But you and me already know that is enemy's weakness. So we can fight again these evils, and we can bring the more people, these freedom countries and the heaven countries in here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Amazing. Really, really amazing. Thank you to Beth for actually being in touch with Jihyun. I think everyone who's been here has been absolutely moved and inspired. That's incredible. Really, really incredible, Jihyun. So you keep well. Good luck. Go for it.
Thank you.
Good luck in the election.
Really, yes, exactly. That's one election we're going to be looking at down here. And keep well all. Thank you so much to everyone for coming and being part of this. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Jihyun.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.